What's going on, guys? I'm MrGoldenGamer, and I make gaming videos that nobody watches. Season 1 of Black Ops 7 launches today, actually, so I'm a little bit late to this video, but I wanted to go over all of the Warzone changes coming to Season 1. I've already made videos going over the multiplayer updates, the zombies updates, and the endgame updates, so check out those videos if you haven't already, and while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you on board. But in each of those videos, I said that I was going to be making a separate video going over all of the Warzone updates, and it kind of escaped me, so I'm a little bit late to this, but I figured better late than never. I said I was going to make the video, so I better stick to it. So let's talk about Warzone in Season 1, and it all starts with this new philosophy, which is more updates more often. The developers promise to keep the game fresh and balanced all year long, and their entire focus boils down to 3 core pillars. Of course, there's Battle Royale, Resurgence, and the future, which is actively exploring and testing new ideas to keep Warzone evolving. The most important part of this new approach is the commitment to a faster update cadence. They're promising more frequent meta shakeups to prevent the game from getting stale. And we're talking about balance changes happening at least twice per season, and weapon-specific updates happening upwards of 4 times per season, and this is huge. This means that the meta will no longer be locked in for months at a time, and the days of running the same 2 guns for an entire season are hopefully over. So with that new philosophy in mind, let's dive into the first thing you'll notice when you drop in, which is how your character moves. The big change is tactical sprint is gone. Well, sort of. So let's break this down and what exactly is happening with tac sprint. It's no longer a default mechanic, just like it is no longer a default mechanic in the base game of Black Ops 7. You can no longer just double tap your sprint button to get that super sprint anymore. And to compensate for this, the base movement speed has been increased slightly across the board, so you won't feel like you're stuck in the mud. But if you're a player who absolutely lives and dies by tac sprint, don't panic, because you can get it back by equipping the new Sprinter perk, which will allow you to tac sprint. There's a couple new ways to move as well. They're experimenting with some brand new movement mechanics to add more skill and expression to your gameplay. The combat roll is a new ability that lets you maintain momentum after falls. This is tied directly to the Mountaineer perk. There are 2 other mechanics, wall jump and the grapple hook tactical, and these are being tested in limited time modes throughout Season 1. This is the dev team's way of using LTMs as a testing ground for potential future features, which I think is a great idea. But movement is really only half the battle. The way we build our loadouts has been completely turned on its head as well, so there is a big overhaul here to weapons, attachments, and basically the way Create a Class is working. The devs have made it clear that their #1 goal with weapons this year is to kill the one-size-fits-all meta. They want every choice you make in the gunsmith to be a meaningful one that defines a specific playstyle. So the core loadout construction, first off, the overkill perk is gone, but this is actually good news because it's now a default ability for everyone. When you grab your loadout, you will always get to equip 2 primary weapons. No perk will be required. I think it was like this back in Modern Warfare 3's life cycle, so it's nice to have that back. To make your choices more impactful, the maximum number of attachments per weapon has been capped at 5. The gunfighter wildcard has been removed, so every slot matters. That's an interesting one. No more 8 attachments or whatever gunfighter allows you to have, so you are capped at 5 for everything. They also have a new philosophy when it comes to balancing. The primary focus for balancing will be on the Black Ops 7 weapons, and this is where the meta will live and evolve. The legacy weapons from previous games are still usable, but they're being treated like classic throwbacks. They will not support new features like weapon prestige, new mastery camos, or the new attachment system. And this is arguably the biggest news. For the first time ever, attachments now have stats that are entirely unique to Warzone. And this connects directly back to that new philosophy we talked about. By focusing on these Black Ops 7 weapons and having the ability to tune attachments just for Warzone, they can execute on that promise of 4+ meta shakeups per season without breaking multiplayer. And this is nice. I think Warzone is finally starting to separate itself from multiplayer, and I think that is long overdue. So here's some examples of the attachment rework. So the suppressors, they now reduce visual recoil, making them a pretty top tier choice for staying on target during sustained fire at longer ranges. And what this actually means for you is that suppressors are no longer just stealth. They're actually a key component for building a good weapon. The AR barrels are now split into two clear categories. Long range barrels give you better accuracy at distance but have slower ADS, while mid-range barrels offer better recoil control. This means you can no longer build a single AR that beams at 100 meters and snaps in close quarters. You have to commit to a long range or a mid-range weapon. I like this a lot too. Then there's the SMG barrels, and you can build these for a couple different ways too. You can build a mid-range damage or a high mobility hipfire playstyle, or even a super fast aim down sight build. Then lastly, there's sniper barrels. To reward patient, skilled snipers, some barrels now provide flinch resistance and reduced idle sway, making it easier to hold down those long sight lines. They've also made changes to protect the identity of each weapon class. The maximum magazine size for assault rifles is now capped at 60 rounds. And basically what this does is it ensures that LMGs remain the high capacity weapon class. If you want something more than 60 rounds, you gotta roll with an LMG. And for high skilled players, pump action shotguns using slug rounds can now one shot to the head within their maximum range. This creates a high risk, high reward playstyle to be able to be played with the shotguns. I think that's pretty cool. There's also another huge quality of life update. They are removing pistols from ground loot, and this will make those first fights when you drop in a lot more entertaining and maybe a little bit more competitive because you both have some kind of ranged weapon that is not a pistol, so that's kind of nice. And with weapons being so specialized, your choice of perks and equipment is actually more important now, and we're going to talk about that right now. The perk and equipment system has been completely streamlined. The goal was to make every choice impactful, eliminate redundant items, and introduce new strategic layers to every gunfight. So the perk system has been simplified to a 3-slot structure, and wildcards have been removed entirely. This forces you to make some tough decisions. So here's some of the most game-changing perks that you need to know about. Firstly, we have Survivor, and this one, when you are fully plated, this perk provides one-hit protection against ballistic headshots. So basically, if you don't like getting downed by one-shot snipers to the head, rock this perk and you have a way to counter that now, which is really nice. The next one is reactive armor. When your armor breaks, this perk triggers an EMP pulse, but that's not all. It also regenerates your equipped armor to its maximum after you briefly disengage from the fight. So if you want to back off and then re-engage, your armor will regen without you needing to manually plate up, which is really nice. The next one is called adaptive, and this new perk offers different benefits based on your status. You get mobility bonuses when damaged and improved weapon handling when fully plated. It also combines old effects, giving you audible warnings near enemy traps. And lastly, we have Bomb Squad, and this has been buffed to provide enhanced resistance against explosives, now including damage from kill streaks. So there's some new lethals, tacticals, and field upgrades as well. Firstly, we have the Needle Drone, which is a small, throwable drone that you can either let detonate on impact or briefly control for a precision strike. Then there's the Pinpoint Grenade, which deploys tracking darts on any enemies who enter its radius, marking them for the entire squad. Then there's the Sight Grenade. This one creates phantom enemies and distorts the minimap for anyone caught in the red gas. There's the Phantom Signal, which forces nearby enemies to make noise and reveals their location on the compass. Is a perfect tool for hunting down anyone camping in a building or something like that. And lastly, we have the Echo Unit field upgrade, and this deploys a realistic decoy that perfectly mimics your stance, either standing or crouched, and it makes it pretty convincing. It's kind of like a hologram. They have this in the multiplayer for Black Ops 7 too, so yeah, that one's going to be interesting for some plays in Warzone for sure. And for the first time, devs are introducing direct counters between equipment, creating what they're calling like this rock, paper, scissors meta. So the stim shot can now be used to instantly remove effects from flash and concussion grenades, and smoke grenades can now be used to extinguish fire from Molotovs and even napalm streaks. So now that you know what you'll be fighting with, let's talk about where you'll be fighting because there's some updates to the maps. Season 1 brings with it some changes to the playable environments in Warzone. Firstly, there is a new Resurgence map, and there are some new POIs in the big Battle Royale map, which of course is Verdansk. So Haven's Hollow is the brand new Resurgence map, which is set in an isolated Appalachian town. So you may recognize this from Black Ops 6 because this is Liberty Falls from Zombies. It's almost exact. And there were multiple maps within Black Ops 6 Zombies that took place in Liberty Falls. There's, of course, the map Liberty Falls. And then there is Shattered Vale. And lastly, there is Janus Towers, which was actually called Reckoning. That's what it was called. It escaped me for a second. So yeah, Reckoning's not actually in the Warzone map, but there are some Zombies POIs in here. So it's actually Liberty Falls, which is based on a real town in West Virginia that's called Harper's Ferry. So definitely neat. I think the map looks very good. They decided to go with the fall setting where the leaves are very vibrant and, you know, changing colors, which is the perfect thing for West Virginia. I myself don't live that far from this real world location, and fall is the best time to go to West Virginia. But anyway, there's a few locations in here. There's the mansion, which is Shattered Vale. There's a giant T-Rex fossil in the main hall. If you played Shattered Vale, you know that's the boss fight, so kind of cool to see that in here. Then there's the barn, which is actually completely reworked since Call of Duty Next, where some streamers played it and stuff. So they redesigned it to fix some of these sight lines and improve the combat flow, and a lot of the locations in barn kind of remind me of Ashwood from the new Zombies map, Ashes of the Damned, here in Black Ops 7, so that's kind of neat. Then there's other locations like Main Street, which is just, you know, your typical town, and then the Riverboat, which is a 3-tiered paddle boat on the water. So definitely some cool POIs here in Haven's Hollow. And you know, a lot of people will probably be upset about this because of the fact that it is, you know, some reused assets and stuff from Black Ops 6, and, you know, they just took Liberty Falls and put it into a Resurgence map. But I'm going to be honest, I don't mind it. If you have the assets, you might as well use them and give us more content. I think the bigger question is what happened to Area 99, which is the Resurgence map that launched along Black Ops 6 and then just like disappeared a few months later, and they said it would be back and it just never came back. So what happened to that? I'd love to know. But anyway, there's a couple of new POIs on Verdansk as well. 2 new major locations, and the first is Signal Station, which is a brand new complex in the north, easily identified by its 3 giant white spheres. The key feature here is an interactive element inside that can provide your squad with some valuable map intel. Then there is Factory, which is a remastered and updated version of the classic POI from Verdansk 84 during Black Ops Cold War's lifecycle, and this brings back the fan favorite location with a little bit new layout and some different combat opportunities there as well. So with these new locations dropping, the devs are also adding some new ways to experience them with some new game modes. So at launch, both Battle Royale and Resurgence will be available, and each will have dedicated casual playlist options for players looking for a more relaxed experiences. One of the most exciting additions is the introduction of experimental limited time modes, which can be weekend only playlists. These are designed to let the devs test new ideas. The first 2 confirmed for Season 1 are Amped BR, a mode with increased health to change the time to kill and feel of combat. Then the next one is High Octane BR, and this is all about action. You start with your loadout and you can access the buy station anywhere at any time with the press of a button. So that sounds pretty interesting. Then lastly, there's the Codmas event, which of course is the Christmas event, and this year's LTM is a holiday heist where squads race to gather gifts. You can also expect to see all of the maps decked out with festive decorations. I don't know what the extent of these is going to be, but it'll be pretty neat nonetheless. And believe it or not, that's just Season 1. So the devs have already actually given us a little bit of a sneak peek of what's coming next. The team over at Raven is definitely thinking long term, and they've already teased some huge updates planned for the future to build our anticipation a little bit. So here's a quick rundown of what's in the pipeline. So map rotations, this is huge. Multi-map rotation for big Battle Royale maps is officially coming early next year. For Resurgence, map rotation will be between Rebirth Island and Haven's Hollow, and that will actually be coming shortly after launch. So Rebirth Island is getting a refresh in Season 2 as well. This is basically a snowstorm hitting Rebirth Island. And this will also feature new POI updates and geographical changes to improve the flow. I wish the snow update came for Christmas. A little weird that's not coming till after Christmas, but it is what it is. We're also getting some returning maps, well, at least one. So an improved version of Fortune's Keep is already in the works for a future season. And there is a new Blackout experience coming in Season 2, and this is a very big teaser. Blackout, of course, was the Black Ops 4 Battle Royale. It was the first Call of Duty Battle Royale ever, and it's very different from Warzone. There's no loadouts or anything like that. You have to pick up everything that you use via looting it. But anyway, a new Blackout experience is coming in Season 2 on a map called Avalon. And if you're not familiar, Avalon is actually the map that is playable via endgame in the co-op campaign of Black Ops 7. So if you want to get the jump on learning that map, go hop into endgame and learn Avalon. So it's definitely clear that they have a ton of content in the works, which is very nice to see. And I'm really curious on how Blackout is going to work. Are there going to be loadouts? Are they going to stay traditional to the original Blackout? I just can't wait to learn more about that. So there you go. There are all of the updates to Warzone for Season 1, which you can play in just a couple hours after I'm posting this video. So hop in there, see how you like it. On first thought, I feel like it's a good start. I think that they're adding some good content here. I think that new Resurgence map will be cool, but is it enough? Is it enough yet? Is that going to keep people coming back to Warzone? I feel that people are pretty burnt out on it. There was a big resurgence when Verdansk dropped again last year, but that died off pretty quick. So what is Warzone going to do to bring people back and make them stay? And hopefully that's going to come with that new Blackout that's going to launch in Season 2, I believe. So definitely looking forward to that. I think there's a lot of potential there, but it all comes down to what the execution of that plan will look like. So once again, guys, I'm Mr. Golden Gamer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.